All right, today we're jumping into something big. We're going beyond the code to talk about artificial intelligence, its huge impact on our society, and, the massive question of who's actually responsible when it all goes wrong. Let's get right into it.
So, I want to start with a question that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. Who's really on the hook when an AI messes up? I mean, when it spits out the wrong information, or when an outcome is clearly biased, who's responsible? Now, you might be thinking of a few possibilities, but here's the one thing you got to get from the jump. The answer is not the AI. I know that probably sounds a little weird, but stick with me here, because understanding why that's the case is the key to this entire conversation. To really unpack that, we first have to kind of reframe how we even think about AI. Let's start by looking at it as a social tool, something that goes way, way beyond just lines of code. Because to get a handle on its impact, you have to look past the algorithms and see how it's being woven into, well, everything we do. And when I say its reach is massive, I mean it's everywhere. This isn't just for tech geeks anymore. Think about it. It's in our schools, helping to create learning plans for students. It's being used in government to help shape policy. It's in our hospitals, assisting doctors with diagnoses. It's even shaping public discussions and completely changing how we create and consume information itself. And here's the real kicker. Because AI is touching so many important parts of our lives, it just can't be a neutral tool. It's impossible. Every single application, every output, it creates a ripple effect. So no, it is not value neutral. It carries real weight and has real, tangible consequences for all of us. Which brings us to one of the biggest challenges we're facing with this technology: bias. We're going to explore how AI doesn't just invent prejudice out of thin air. More often than not, it just acts like a giant mirror, reflecting the biases our world already has. So, what do we actually mean by AI bias? Well, it's not about a machine having some kind of malicious opinion. Not at all. It's a phenomenon that comes directly from the data, the information we feed it. And if that data is full of historical and social patterns of inequality, which, let's be honest, it almost always is, the AI is just going to learn and spit those same inequalities right back out.
And this is where we see a really common misunderstanding. The myth is this idea of a rogue AI, making some kind of evil choice, like it's a character in a sci-fi movie. But the reality? It's much more boring and, frankly, much more challenging. It's just an algorithm learning from flawed, messy, historical human data. It's a mirror to our own past.
So, the bottom line is this: you can't fix a problem that you refuse to acknowledge. Just recognizing that this bias exists, that it's literally baked into the data we're using, that is the absolute first, most critical step if we ever want to use these powerful tools in a fair and ethical way.
Okay, so if the AI is just reflecting our own biases and isn't some neutral thing, that brings us right back to that first question I asked. So let's tackle it head on. Who is actually in charge here? It's the accountability question.
Let's be perfectly 100% clear. The machine is not accountable. AI systems, no matter how smart or complicated they seem, cannot, I repeat, cannot bear responsibility. It's a tool. It's a powerful tool for sure, but it's not an independent agent.
So if it's not the AI, then who is it? Well, it's us. It's what you could call the chain of responsibility. Accountability is always human. It starts with the big organizations that build and deploy these systems. Then it flows down to the professionals, the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, who are using AI in their day-to-day work. And yeah, it even includes all of us as individuals who might rely on what an AI tells us to make our own decisions.
And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. For AI to be used safely and ethically, having these clear structures of responsibility is an absolute must. We have to know who's accountable at every single step.
So all of this points toward a solution, a way forward. It's not about getting rid of AI, but about working with it in a smarter way. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important point: the absolute need for human oversight, for seeing AI as a partner, not a replacement.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? This is the core of the ideal partnership. The whole goal isn't to build a system that thinks for us, but one that helps us think better. AI should assist our decision-making, but it should never, ever fully replace it.
So what does human oversight actually look like in the real world? Well, for one, it means we have to interpret the AI's outputs with a critical eye, not just accept them as fact.
It also means we have to adjust for real-world context. A doctor might get a diagnosis from an AI, but they still have to use their human judgment to consider the patient's lifestyle or other symptoms the AI doesn't know about. And ultimately, it means that we, the humans in the loop, are the ones who are responsible for applying that information ethically. So, as we wrap this up, if there's one thing to take away, it's this. The biggest challenge of AI isn't really about the code or the processing power or even the data. When you get right down to it, it's a challenge about us. It's about our values, our judgment, and what kind of society we actually want to build with these incredibly powerful new tools. And that leaves me with one final question for you to chew on. What is one decision in your life, big or small, that you would never, ever hand over to an AI? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.